Okay, you know how when you were little, you had your school friends, and then you had your. Did your parents ever go to church when you were little?
No, not really.
No?
No.
That's gonna be a weird one then. Because, like, for me, for instance, right? Like, I had my little buddies at school or whatever.
And then you had
And then you would
people.
go to church and you'd be a totally different world. And then, depending on what would happen, like, even at school, I would always have, like, buddies that, I would go have lunch with or whatever. And then I would have my teammates from, like, sports activities and stuff like that. And, or, I joined a club at school or whatever, and then there would be those kids or whatever. And I would always have, like, a vast variety of, like, people that I would hang out with. But, it was always in their own separate world. And I remember it would be, like, pretty monumental anytime they would, like, if I had a birthday or whatever, and, that would be the chance to get everyone together just to see how,
Well, they would get along.
whether they would get along, but just to see, like, the interaction, what would they react to each other? You know what I mean? And it was cool because like, for your baby shower, that was basically the thing that we all looked at. What would happen if we placed your coworkers with your friends, and even certain friends that you wouldn't normally relate to each other. You never experienced that when you were little?
No. Well, yeah, I did. Well, it was different because I grew up in El Salvador and everybody knows each other from the same, like, hood, let's say, per se. My school friends were also my neighbors.
Really?
Yeah.
That too suck. That means you can never sleep in class. You can never sleep in class because then they would go fucking rat you out to your parents.
Ah, hell no. If we did things together to get in trouble. Like, for example, the whole me throwing rocks out there.
What?
To people.
You threw rocks at people?
Remember I told you?
No. What the fuck? What the hell kind of weird ass games did you play as a kid?
Okay, so remember I told you how there was like a little pen like at the back of the school where there was oh my gosh, a prison.
There was a prison beside the school.
Yeah. And then there was like a small hill to get towards that. And anyway, so there was
hold on. So there's a school and there's a prison, but the only thing that divided the two was a little hill.
Yeah.
And there was rocks on the hill.
Well, yeah, there were small rocks, and there was like people selling like, like a little market
Beside the prison?
beside the school. Yeah, beside the whole strip, like starting from like all the way down to like ending all the way to the prison. So people would sell like like fruits, vegetables, and it was
Beside the prison?
yeah.
What the fuck?
Why are you even worried about that? How about worry about the kids that we were beside the prison and everybody wants them to...
Why is everybody
Go
acting so
over.
casual by a prison? It's a prison. It's not a mall.
I know, but I don't know. Well, I guess there was high security and they weren't allowed to come out. Like, those guys were not allowed to come out when there was
Shit.
school.
God, I hope not.
Yeah, I mean, well, the fences were
That's true. Yeah, okay.
huge. Anyway, so, I would throw rocks at people, like small rocks, not big ones, obviously, small ones too.
That's enough to fucking give someone a nice ding, bro.
Okay, but listen. So we would throw rocks at people, and then people would look back and look everywhere to see who the heck was throwing them and stuff. Of course, me with the luck that I have, I threw it at somebody, and it hit right on the fucking forehead or face or whatever. Saw me, so
Did they get hurt?
no, but they were just upset.
I would be too. Fuck. What the hell's the matter with you throwing rocks at people?
So they went like in the school and then they talked to the principal. And of course he saw me. So he's like, yeah, there's this like little girl, like really dark skin and whatnot. And I was the only dark skin one there. So of course I got caught. The principal called my mom.
Oh my god.
So my friends from school were the same. That's my neighbors.
And you guys did all that together?
Of course we did.
You know, some little girl bit my mom in the back of the neck when they were little.
Ew, what do you mean, why?
Because it was the same thing. Like, vivían en el mismo vecindario. And there was this little Araceli chick, right? And she was a little bit big boned or whatever. And my mom was always like the skinny, fragile, like lanky little girl and whatever. You know, one day they're walking home from school and they're like fucking shit mouthing each other, you know, fucking Araceli was calling my mom escoba con manos o algo así. Like just calling her like super
Like
skinny
a
or whatever.
stick?
Yeah, like a stick. And then my mom would call her like barril sin fondo or something like that. And they would just like be like shit talking to each other like on their way home or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, una de esas, I guess Araceli gets pissed off y agarra un pedazo de leña y se lo tira
To your mom?
to my mom and like it hit her like on the back of the head or some shit.
Oh my god, that's so
And
dangerous.
and my mom's like, Pudgy over there starts like running and shit for her life because she's seen my mom get pissed off and starts running after Araceli. And so she's like, they ran for like 2 blocks before like my mom like, como Araceli era gordita, like no podía correr muy rápido. So my mom caught up to her y de los nervios like no hallaba qué hacer. Like, so she grabbed her by the hair and like looked for the first chunk of like flesh she could find, and sure enough it was like the back of her neck,
That is so awful.
and just bit it till it was purple.
That is so awful.
Oh god.
Yeah, kids are very aggressive over there. I'm telling you, some guy threw a pencil to Carlos when he was in grade 2.
What the shit?
Yeah, and he made like something, I guess it was his ear. I don't know what it was, but I guess like it was so hard, the impact, that it made Carlos bleed.
No way.
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh my god, you know that chick that was that commented on the socks thing on my Facebook?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there was this girl who I had not seen for years. Last time I saw her, must have been in like grade 7 or 8, so what, 12 years old? And we were sitting in class and whatever, and we just, anytime you get a substitute teacher, like
Of course.
everyone just fucks around, like doesn't do shit or whatever, and so there's like things flying across the room, fucking. I was getting fucking nailed left and right by like erasers and like paper balls and all this shit. And at one point I just took it too far. I grabbed like this little pencil off the ground and I flung it at the girls. And sure enough, it hits air and right underneath her freaking left eye. And just freaking like pokes a nice little hole right on her eyelid. Like I was maybe like less than a centimeter away from like nailing her right in the pupil.
Oh God, you're so stupid.
And so years later, we're already what? I'm already 26. I'd imagine she's probably like just a year younger than me or whatever. Yeah, the first thing she said when she added me on Facebook was, "Hey Johnny, how's it going? I still remember that pencil, by the way."
That's what it would remember you for. Huh?
Oh fuck yeah, are you crazy?
My whole life.
12 years later, and that's the stuff I'm leaving behind.
How do you like people to remember you?
What I want and what people know me as are two totally different things. Half the world knows me as an asshole, which they're not wrong to say that.
Okay, but I don't know that side of you.
You're my wife. I would hope you don't.
I mean, before I met you.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
I was trying to impress you. You think I'm gonna treat you like trash? And now I'm married to you, so unless I want to give you all my stuff, I gotta treat you good.
I didn't even know you were trying to impress me in the first place. Aw, baby, you actually admit it. No, but I mean, like, you would be very open with, like, you know, your past and stuff, and like.
Yeah, see, that was weird. I don't know if that was a result of me feeling comfortable with you, or if I felt comfortable because I told that stuff to you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Either one or the other, but I just feel like it came hand in hand. You know what I mean? Like we got comfortable with each other right away. Like there was
not trying to pretend.
Yeah,
to be somebody else.
Yeah, like it was really easy to be myself. Like I didn't have to pretend like I wasn't some big goofball at sometimes, you know? Which I am. Like, the prank wars that go on at home are fucking... We definitely go too far sometimes.
We do. But that's what makes our relationship interesting.
I think so, yeah.
We have to break routines. It's like work.
Mm.
You know? It's like my job. For example, it's like a routine. I go there every day and I do the same thing every day.
All right, let me ask you this. You work at a call center, right?
Yeah.
And you get all sorts of calls. You get the happy-go-lucky person that's the 2-minute call and it's great. They just ask you for some help. You give them a couple extra credits, because you work for Fido and all this good stuff. And then you get those like awesome like 3-hour long calls with somebody screaming at the top of their lungs thinking that they're gonna like tickle something out of you or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But what if the entire day only consisted of like the 2-minute, friendly calls? Don't you think it would get boring? Don't you think it's not fun, but it kind of keeps you on a curve when you have to be, you almost got to expect that at any given moment you're going to get that fucking asshole. Like what's your thought on that? Or maybe I'm just totally wrong.
I mean, for every call that I get, I always try to just think it's like a new person. I don't know. I can't really explain this to you, but the best way I can explain is, like, let's say I had a really bad call, and like, if I don't take those 2 minutes or 1 minute to like, kind of just like breathe in, breathe out, and get the next call, I'm already thinking the next person is gonna be an asshole too, right? So I don't know. I just think like I always have to think of the next call that I'm gonna get. It's gonna be different and it's gonna be positive. It's not always gonna be like this asshole that's gonna yell at me, because I always assume before getting the call that this person is already an asshole because I already had one prior to that call. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, you're right. Maybe it would be boring to have that very happy customer every single call, but also would make my job, 1, easier, and 2, positive throughout the whole day. Because when I have good calls all day, my time goes by faster and I'm happier, and obviously and whatnot. I don't have crazy stories to bring home to. But the stress of like how some people think speaking to somebody higher than whoever they're talking to, or like they just assume that like you have to keep them happy, but they don't think like, like what is it like to be on the other side of the line, like, like it's a company. It's obviously a company. We're obviously going to be limited to give things out. Like there's been so many years for Fido that they used to give like, so many discounts on like let's say you were complaining about like any little thing, they would give discount, like $100 discount, or like they would give like a 10% discount for like a year or so. Obviously the company's not gonna make any money if they keep giving money out too. So they've been trying to reduce, not to like stop the help for customers, but to reduce from getting them into the habit of asking every time to get some sort of discount.
Major help in quotes, eh?
Well, I mean, it's hard, right? Like I don't know. I just feel like some people like really are so used to expecting people or companies to do so much for them that they don't think things actually change. You know what I mean? Like they don't have the mentality of change. They have mentality of like other things changing, but why can they think like any company you're with is gonna change their policies or the way they do things? And I think that's the hardest part of like my job, trying to make people understand that things change. Like they don't work like before. For example, like people before were able to keep the same plan they used to have and get a phone for $0 because I guess it was easier with the phones that they were coming out. Not to mention, like, I guess Apple wasn't really a huge thing, or Samsung or whatever. But then now, companies like Apple and Samsung, of course, they manage the FIDO. Do you know what I mean?
No.
So this is how it works. But Apple has phone, for example, iPhone 7.
Mm-hmm.
Without a contract, you pay $919 for it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is like no term. Like you can go to like an Apple store and go buy an Apple phone. But Apple has decided to give us a subsidy balance or like a save for a customer so they can take a plan. But of course, now the plans have changed. So the phone comes at a lower subsidy. Like, not by that much.
Mm-hmm.
But so customers get, fairly charged for.
Mm-hmm.
And they have the 2-year term rather than 3 years to pay the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And keep it theirs. So Apple literally gives us like, let's say if you're on a plus 15 plan, you're gonna pay like $70 1 gig or whatnot, or $80. It goes up to $100 for gigs. And now that internet is such a huge thing, social media everywhere, people want more data, but they're not willing to pay more.
Right.
And it's the same thing with the phones. Like, I just don't understand people calling expecting iPhone 7 to be at $0 on a plan that they have.
Right.
Like, what do you mean? Like,
yeah.
First of all, it's a phone that just came out. What makes you think it's going to be at $0? I understand, like, that was how it was done before, but now this is how it is now. Unfortunately, you can't go back on how it used to be. And it's not like we want to put it that way, but that's the way we've been also given to them, to the customers.
And I would imagine, like, giving that explanation to everybody not only gets frustrating for you, but also, you know, not everybody gets it.
Yeah, and it's just frustrating for them because they're like, well, like, yes, it's true. And I admit it. Like, there's been customers that have been with us for, like, oh my gosh, I don't know, 12 years. Like, since FIDO has been out.
Right.
And they just feel like there's no sort of loyalty because we're not giving it to them at a certain price or whatever. And with that, it has been brought up in so many meetings. Like, we always talk about, like, what the hell, right? Like, why can customers, like, we're literally treating every customer, even the old ones, just like new ones. And so with that, it's like, like there's, I don't know. There's a lot of things. Like, I can agree with the customer, but I mean, like, my hands are tied. Like, I can't do anything.
Right.
And it's really hard to put it that way for a customer that, that's like, well, that's nice. So you're agreeing with me, but yet you're not going to do shit for me. Like,
No, I totally get it when, like, that concept of treating veterans, veterans like newbies and stuff.
Yeah.
One of the things I tell people when I'm talking about, how I used to play music and stuff like that. People don't believe me when I say this, but it's the truth. When I would go on the road to play music, regardless of how many bars and, strip joints and, all these, alcohol-based places I played at, when I was on the road, it's when I would be the cleanest. Well, at that time, like, I wouldn't resolve to alcohol or drugs to keep entertained. No, because it really all revolves around that same concept that you talked about. You get a set list, right, of like 15, 20 songs that you have to learn for a tour or whatever, right? And you go and you play them, and then you play them for, let's say, 3 months, 3, 4, 5 times a week for 3 months straight. That adds up to a lot of times. You would think that you get bored and sick of playing the exact same songs every single day, regardless of the fact that you're getting paid for it. But at the same time, it kind of strikes on you that every single night you're seeing completely brand new faces on the crowd. You know, you may, it's very easy to say, hey, well, you're just playing music. You just have to stand there and play guitar. You just have to sit there and play the drums to the exact same songs. Like, it's nothing to it. You just got to do the same thing repetitively. But it's not. It's a totally different experience every single time. It's a totally different crowd, a totally different set of eyes and ears experiencing the music that you're performing. Therefore, you have to treat each performance like it's your last. It stays interesting that way. So every single night that you do it, you want to do a good job. You want to eliminate the variable that you're gonna fuck up a part. Especially since you're getting paid to do it.
Yeah.
But also you don't want to kill somebody's experience. Somebody might have paid anywhere from $15 to $30 to see you that night.
Yeah.
And you don't want to fucking disappoint them. You can be like, oh fuck, that was a waste. And it's really all just a matter of I didn't get in. I strayed away from the alcohol and the drugs because I wanted to be focused on doing my job that night, which was.
But then that's you, regardless. When you focus, you don't. That's your personality, though, baby.
Maybe that's an argument that could be made.
Like, that's your personality, knowing you. When you're writing stuff in a call, and you can't focus unless like you have that time to yourself, or like you put it in your head, or like when you're working on something, like you're just so like I've seen you in so many different
modes.
Like
I think everybody has that mode where all they have.
Uses it.
Well, no, it's not that. I think everybody does use it at different points. It's a matter of discovering your craft. You know what I mean? To tap into that. Because I would imagine you probably tapped into that a little bit when you were doing your dancing stuff. You know what I mean? Where you really wanted to learn a technique or a style or a song or whatever, or a routine or what have you. You know what I mean? But I think people, once you find a craft that you're passionate about, you zero into it and you become like all encompassing with it. To me, it's just a matter of I've learned to dominate that zone. I'm able to apply it into whatever I'm doing. Especially when there's something riding on a necessity, like fixing up the walls at our old place so we can get our deposit back. Lo and behold, who thought it would take me that long? My dad would be so ashamed.
Whatever. Hey, I did a good job in the painting.
You did a really good job in the painting. Fuck, we went back the next day to check it out with the fucking landlord, and not a single one looked like it had ever been touched.
Yeah, it was really good.
Good job, buddy.
No, buddy. Well, I guess that was our first project together. I'm telling you, we should totally get into a company. It's open one.
What, a restoration company?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, it may take time, but it'd be good. No, we can't work together. I'd be the one clowning around and you'd be the one getting upset. No.
I'd be the one fixing things and you'd be the one giving me things to fix.
Yeah, like it's my, I don't know. How are you? Well, I mean, how are you when you're like working? I'm pretty sure you like joke around and do things like to maintain like my job to the way it is and try to keep myself together. I literally have to like
goof around,
talk around with people that I don't even know sometimes. Like, they sit beside me and they ask questions like, well, now that I'm pregnant, they're all like, "When are you due?" or whatnot. And and then I start a conversation and people that I never thought I would talk to, I talk to. Yeah.
I don't know. It varies for me. Like Monday morning, and you've seen my Monday morning face.
If anybody gets to know Johnny, do not talk to him on a Monday morning unless you want to get your ass kicked. Or make sure he has his coffee at least, because No. And I never thought you'd be that kind of person.
You know what?
Because you're such a happy
No,
man.
it goes like this.
Okay,
Monday mornings and Friday afternoons. Well, when we're talking about work, strictly work. Monday mornings, Monday from 7:30 till about 11:30, and then Fridays from from noon until I leave the job site. That's my I don't give a shit mode. Literally, all my fucks, I leave them at home, so I literally have none to give. You know, you can be throwing yourself off a balcony, I'm just gonna stare at you. I'm the stone cold guy that just, I don't give two shits about anybody. But then you have the game face mode, which you happen to see on those couple days that I was working on the house, which is either keep up with me or get ran over or get the fuck out my way because I'm gonna run you over anyways. And it's just, once it clicks, it does not stop until I turn it off. And I don't know. Because it's work, because it's a weekly and a daily thing, I kind of have to ease in and out of it. But yeah, if there's tasks that are required of me, I'm one of those follow through personalities where I make a plan and I follow through with it to the end. And
That's like with everything in your life. Apparently, you get very upset when I don't follow through things.
yeah.
Well, I'm not the only girl that changes their mind every 20 seconds,
Unfortunately not.
I'm just saying, like, we're not like you guys.
Us guys. Oh god. All OCD.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know who's more OCD, you or me.
Oh,
You could call
God.
me I'm OCD, but I am only in certain areas.
Yeah, you think?
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
I don't know why financial area.
Well,
Really?
that's
The truth is, maybe because I like to have control over a lot of things.
You are a control freak, yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, the person that isn't, it's like a total mess. Haven't you thought about that?
No, I think
what
there's...
if okay, let's say I be the person that did not give a shit about anything. I'd be like, oh, whatever, let me just do whatever in La La Land. Like, I don't think you would be attracted to me. You'd be like, wow, this girl, it's like, does not give a shit about
That's
anything.
true. While I do find that attractive, I also think there's something to be said about being lenient in some parts of some areas of life more than others.
Yes, like we had this argument before. It's just the way, I guess, I've been since I kind of moved out of my parents' house, you know? Like, maybe because I've always have to been able to watch myself, like, with everything. Bills, like rent, and, this and that.
Yeah.
So I think I've always kept that part of me, like, if I don't follow through, like you like to say, I'm going to fuck myself over, And I don't know, I've always liked to be the person that, that some people look at it and be like, holy shit, how, like, did you get your shit together? Like, how do you manage your shit,
Any arguments? Oh, buddy, I can only imagine the sort of debates you and I are going to be having on this fucking thing.